Welcome back to this week's edition of The Walkthrough, where we check off the week's most trending topics that you need to know in your real estate industry. I'm your co-host, Byron Lazine, along with Eric Simon, the broke agent, returning once again, heavily requested, the King of Philadelphia, the man himself. He'll be speaking at the Tom Ferry Summit. You can get your tickets below. Tom, Toole, welcome back to The Walkthrough, brother.
Great to be here, always.
And we've got a new moderator to the show. His first time ever appearing on The Walkthrough. You know him from Instagram by saying, "Be a Realtor," in his acclaimed series, Be a Realtor. We've got Brooks Landry joining the show. Welcome to the show, gentlemen. It's going to be a good one. Happy to have you both.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you.
All right, let's get right into it. Let's get right into it. This one actually gave me a really big smile, this first topic, because it's long overdue with the just pompous behavior from the CEO for years. I mean, in their marketing, they've put out content that is completely against the agent. Like, hey, don't use agents. Why would you do that? That's laughable. Use us. Everybody that invests in Opendoor says they're a market maker. They're creating a whole new market, a whole new industry out of this real estate thing. And well, this week, the FTC has put a stop to the deceiving practices that Opendoor has been benefiting off of over the last number of years. Opendoor has been fined $62 million for misleading sellers. Here's their empty promises. You can find this on brokeagentmedia.com, where we lay it all out for you. The promises rested on these three items. Opendoor would offer market value for consumers' homes. That didn't happen. Consumers would pay lower costs than with traditional home sales. That, in fact, didn't happen. And consumers would make more money than with traditional home sales. And that also didn't happen. Tom, Toole, I'm sure it put a smile to your face, but what are your thoughts on the FTC? It's really a settlement because Opendoor settled for the $62 million. What are your thoughts on this?
So obviously, Opendoor agreed with the investigation because they paid the fine, right? I mean, that's what happened. When you settle a case, you're saying, I'm probably going to lose in court. This is going to save me here, because the damages in court would have been way more than $62 million when you look at their valuation. So that's number one. Number two, it's documented in the Bright MLS off-market study. And for those of you watching, Bright MLS is not just like a local MLS. It's Philadelphia, Washington, D.C., Baltimore, parts of South Jersey. And it's a very large MLS. They have a study.
I think it's 18% of all MLSs.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's huge. Yeah. I mean, you look at just the metro markets alone, and it's the second biggest besides the California MLS. So they did a study that shows an off MLS property sells for, on average, just under 17% less than what they would get if they list it with an agent. And they've done the market research. They've obviously pulled a lot of experts to do that. So clearly what they were doing was wrong. And they have been so anti-agent, like many other people in the industry. I mean, Zillow comes to mind, some other people that have been kind of anti-agent and turned around a little bit. And that's easy to do when the market's hot. And now that we're seeing a shifting market, I'm clear, consumers are a little more wary, because home sellers are probably getting more than they thought they would for their home through Opendoor, but not what they could have gotten on the open market, given how incredible the market was the past 24 months.
And Tom, certainly, I think you mentioned Zillow, maybe perception of Zillow.
Yes.
But Zillow partners with agents in a big way. And there's a lot of these companies that partner with agents in a very big way to advance their product, to advance their little tiny niche in the industry. And that's all Opendoor is. It's a little tiny sliver of a niche of what we do. But they were just so against partnering with agents. They actually said agents were bad in much of their marketing. So, Brooks, what do you think about this?
Yeah, I mean, I think it does shed a little blemish to the market in real estate in general, but I actually think it hurts the argument more of replacing the realtor, where we're going to rely on the Zestimates, where the algorithm's going to sell the property. I think that hurts it even more. Just kind of going through it and learning a little bit about what they've done, what they promised. I mean, from overestimating the repairs and kind of keeping the difference in the revenue in between for the margin difference. I think the big topper for me was that the company made the policy to hit a specific percentage below what their value assessment was. So I think, I mean, overall, I like the fact that it kind of stepped on the people talking against the realtors and pushing the realtors trying out of the door. But overall, I do think it does have a little bit of a blemish on the market.
Didn't they have employees like cooking the numbers from like
Right.
2017 to 19? Like they actually had people working at Opendoor that were putting the home valuations lower to buy the properties lower. Like that's psychotic.
Yeah, and they were doing illegal, deceptive tactics. I mean, listen, if any agent were doing these things, the wrath that would have come down on those agents would have been substantial. But, and I think 62 million they got out cheap, by the way. You know,
Absolutely.
this was something that they can absorb with the amount of money that they've raised, and they'll continue on. We can bring up the tweet, Haley. Bring up that tweet that's in the BAM article from 2016. Look, simpler pricing, now better for more sellers. As always, your offer is our best estimate of full market value. Well, what's actually happened from 2016 to today? What actually happened is more people, more home sellers are choosing to work with an agent than back in 2016. That number has been on an incline. I think it's Tom, correct me. I think it's like 92% of people choose to use an agent. So consumers want that level of service, and Opendoor still has not cracked over 1% of total market share in the country. So that's what's actually happened in 2016. So for all of these supporters of, you know, this new way of house flipping, essentially, that have supported Opendoor and called them this big market maker, and they're just going to destroy the agent. Just look at the last 6 years. That trend has not come to fruition. Agents are still in very high demand, even more demand than they were in 2016. And I just believe as we get into a market that, and we're going to talk about on the next topic here, the market predictions over the next year, as we get into a more of an uncertain market, the agent becomes even more valuable. Any final thoughts on that topic?
Yeah, I mean, I see just like you said, the niche of the product, the iBuyer program. But I mean, I see how it brings value to the distressed sale, to somebody that has to get going and move on and go from there. But, you know, at the end of the day, it's the agent that eats, sleeps, and breathes the market, understands the trends of the market versus just going off, you know, averages or algorithms. I think that's obviously going to hold more value than, you know, somebody that's going to an iBuyer program like this.
Brooks,
Yeah.
I've got a great piece of advice for Opendoor. Be a realtor.
That's it. That's it.
Right? Would you agree with that?
It's what it boils down to.
All right, there we go. All right, if you haven't checked out Brooks on IG, definitely leave us a comment if you've seen Brooks and his IG campaign, Be a Realtor. It's incredible.
Give me some more topics. I'm running out of them here. I'm getting beat up out here.
Just scroll through my page. I got 4,000 posts of content for you. There you go. You're good to go.
Eric, you're lucky that you and I work together, or I'd be bringing up 2016, 2012 tweets that you've put out there. Like,
I have a secret burner account that nobody knows about. That is hidden forever.
Bad real estate picks?
No, not that.
All right, topic number 2, Lawrence Yun, who is the chief economist for NAR, 2022-2023 housing market forecast. So he's got some, you know, let's break it down. He talks about mortgage rates, and that's the one we're going to focus in here. He also talks about, are we in a recession? Yes or no. If you really want deep recession talk, go check out the walkthrough from last week. By the way, if you haven't subscribed to the BAM, if you're watching this on YouTube, you haven't subscribed yet, love for you to consider doing that so you don't miss any of these shows. He also talks about days on market will steadily increase. Maybe we'll go around and get your thoughts on that. Sales will continue declining in quarter 3 and quarter 4. That's total sales, not prices. And then the forecast in a nutshell. I want to focus in, though, on this first one. Lawrence Yun states that the mortgage rate changes have already happened. So they accelerated, you know, way up. And we can show the KCM chart And you can try KCM for free by going trykcm.com/BAM or hitting the link below to get these charts to serve your database at a higher level. You can see that obviously from 2021 end of all the way through this year, they've just shot straight up. But just like Lawrence Yun says in this report, this is sourced by Freddie Mac. The belief is that we'll actually see a flattening of interest rates in these low fives where we've been here the last month or so. In fact, today, as we're recording this, it was the first time the interest rates hit 4.99 since April. So, Brooks, what do you think? Do you think we're getting into a time period here over the next 12 to 18 months? And this is more prediction speculation, but what would you speculate? Are we going to see a low five interest rate environment for the foreseeable future? Or are you on the other side where you're calling for 6 and 7? People like Patrick Bet-David who think this recession is going to be one of the worst of all time are saying it's going to go to 6 or 7%. Where are you? What side of the coin are you on?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not the latter for sure. It's funny or it's not funny, but when you see these interest rates increase so drastically, I mean, we went here from the Bay Area, average days on the market to be from 2 to like 33 in a matter of 60 days. We were going from 200 people at open houses with 30 offers to offers 250 to 350 over.
I want to jump in there though, because the Bay Area is not America, and so that market was insane for so long, and so going to 30 days on market seems normal. But go ahead.
Yeah, I mean the calls from the sellers when the home hasn't sold in the first weekend has been brutal. Let's just say, but I do see interest rates adjusting a little bit higher, 6 and 7%. I can't imagine that to happen anytime in the next 12 to 18 months. If that does, do we lose the equity gained over the past few years? As interest rates increase, it obviously affects the buyer power, depending on down payments and whatnot. And I can only speak to what we have here in the Bay Area because we're in it and we're in the trenches. But I do see it, leveling out. So say we plateau 5.25 range. What is the turnaround time until buyers start getting into it? Because the clients we're working with and agents within the brokerage is, a lot of the times we've got buyers sitting back right now saying, let's hold on. Let's hold on a month. Let's hold on a month or two. Let's see how this goes into the fourth quarter towards the end of the year and seeing if we're able to get a deal. It's similar, not exactly, but when I came into the industry in 2009, 10, and 11, working with buyers during the short sales and foreclosures and, working with a client that says, I could get it at X, but if we wait 60 days, where will it be? So I think that's where we're going to have a little bit of a difference. Thoughts?
Tom?
So this is a great talking point with the market dynamics here between the Bay Area versus the Philadelphia area. I mean, it's a meat and potatoes market. We coined that term here on the walkthrough. In all seriousness, our average sale price is $400,000. So
we're gonna get you a Tom Toole meat and potatoes T-shirt exclusively on BAM. Put it in the comments if you want a meat and potato top with Tom Toole's head on the T-shirt.
I'll be the potato head. It'll be perfect. So what I've seen, and I agree with Brooks that. And I've talked to a lot of lenders about this too, that, when you look at that Fed meeting that happened last week, Chairman Powell came out and said, hey, we're looking to battle inflation. They weren't talking about battling the long-term value of money. It was all about inflation. And his comments were, hey, I think we might have it under control now. And a lot of banks, when you saw rates kind of come down in July a little bit after the June meeting, they shot up pretty high up in the 6 and then came back down. These banks are competing for loans right now. They need to have purchase money loans coming in. There's no refinances. So part of it's mortgage companies wanting to write mortgages and being super competitive. I've talked to a few people I know that are thinking about starting mortgage companies right now, and the margins are so thin and it's so competitive. There's large lenders out there literally doing loans for free just to get applications. So that is definitely one component. Secondly, a lot of people have said there's going to be this opportunity in the summertime where rates may dip down a little bit before we see that seasonality of the marketplace. And this is the first seasonal market I've seen since 2019 where there's a lull in August. December probably might get a little slower. This is historically what I've seen in the business for 2 decades. And because of the pandemic and the acceleration of the market, that didn't happen. And I can tell you in July, rates went up. It was people were going on vacation. The summer slowdown really took effect. And now that we're getting closer to school going back in session, kids going back to college, we're seeing even the first 3-4 days into August here, we're seeing a lot of activity in the market because people are realizing, hey, maybe there is an opportunity to get inspections accepted and there's more activity. And now they're seeing the rates have come down almost a point now from where they were at 6, right? So that's a big drop.
Mhm.
So I do, to answer your question, I do see rates probably bubbling back up a little bit into the fall. Right now, these banks, they need business, and they're the ones setting the price. So I think that's a real factor here because refinances are just gone. I mean, everyone refied. They've all refied. Everybody's refied. It's gone.
Do you see it in the 6s and the 7s, or do you see more creative loans from lending from banks, the 3-2-1 buy downs, the 2-1 buy downs that are being pushed, and getting creative with the offers?
I think it's going to be both, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think rates are going to come back up. I don't know if we're going to hit quite 7 again, but I could see them in the mid 6s. I think people can swallow that, and that's really what the Fed's trying to do. I mean, they're not hedging on the long-term bonds because you look at how the long-term bond yield has moved since their meeting. That's been a little different than the short term, which is the first time I've seen this literally ever, because they're trying to combat inflation. And you're going to see a lot more creative financing. We're seeing lenders come out with like non-QM products now. You're seeing, I mean, this stuff was gone, and you couldn't. Go ahead.
No, a lot of lenders are talking non-QM is all. That's all I was going to mention. They're gearing up for it. They're excited about it. They're talking about it. So you're right on that.
But as this market turns, it does give, again, here in the Bay Area, it gives the buyers who are contingent on the sale of their property an opportunity to get some skin in the game. And I think there is a pocket or a pool of buyers that feel comfortable now. I mean, even with myself kind of digging into our database and everybody that was kind of, on the fence before, because of those reasons, it's let's present these offers when they're sitting 20, 30, 40 days on the market before that price modification happens and you need to sell your home. Let's get aggressive with it. And I think that opens it up to a whole nother pool of buyers.
All right, people that just were displaced, right? I mean, you had to have perfect credit, tons of cash. And now that these other buyers are having an opportunity, I'm clear it's going to keep the market moving, and that's why prices aren't going to come down. And also, like the lenders do have to get. I mean, they have gotten competitive just to beat each other and get that business, especially some of these big banks.
Let's do this. If you're with Tom Toole and you think rates are going to go into those 6.5, 6.5 points, that range, love for you to leave a comment. Tell us why. Are you in alignment with Tom's thoughts? Do you have another thought around it? And just hit the thumbs up if you're more in alignment. And Haley, you can show the chart again with what Freddie Mac is predicting, what Lawrence Yun from NAR is predicting, where we're going to see it continue to sit throughout the next year in these low 5s to maybe 5.5, more of a flattening of the rate. So thumbs up on the video here on YouTube if you think it's going to be flat, and in the comments if you agree with Tom's 6.5, if you could see that happening and why. So where's my thoughts on this? I'm being optimistic. I would say that, hey, I think it's going to be maybe in the low 5s, because to me 6.5, 7 has massive repercussions on the industry, and I don't know that necessarily will happen, or that's where they want the market to go, the housing market. But this is a good reminder to follow. And we talk about it here. Dr. Yun recommended looking at the 10-year treasury bond rate rather than the federal interest rate, since the mortgage rate is essentially priced off of the 10-year treasury. So as you're trying to see where it's going, when you hear these headlines about, the federal interest rate going up again, we saw it last week when it went up, mortgage rates went down actually, because it doesn't necessarily follow that. So keep that in mind when you're having these types of conversations. Certainly use the data that's available to you and branded for you, like KCM is doing. You can get that in the link below. Yeah. All right, moving on. We've got what was this? HubSpot report, how each generation shops. This is also on Broke Agent Media. All three of these were Broke Agent Media. We'll link them in the show notes, and you can get to the direct reports or our breakdowns here below. So the 5 generation of home buyers, Gen Z, represents anyone aged 18 to 24. In 2021, they represented the smallest percentage, 2% of home buyers. Millennials, aged 25 to 35. I don't know if I agree with that, because I've seen millennials older than that. Anyways,
I thought I was in the millennial bracket.
I thought I was too.
Yeah.
I thought I was too. And I'm
Brooks, how old are you?
38.
I'm 40.
Yeah, so 40 is right on the edge. I think it could be either or, because I'm also 40. I think it depends where you look at. It's like 1982 or 83.
Well, that's
Byron
my entire research, I think.
I've seen it from 25 to 40. I'll be 38 in September, but this is saying 25 to 35. I don't want to be in this Gen X category. Most of these Gen Xers are quite odd that, that I come across. Anyway, Gen Xers, sorry.
These people that are 40 are odd.
No,
Hey.
it's an odd generation. It is not this big, so I don't know where they're getting these numbers. Anyways,
Dr.
HubSpot.
Young, maybe.
So millennials represent the largest. I love you, Gen Xers. Probably a lot of EXP people. Gen X, EXP. Gen X ages 35 to 54. I've never known that generation to be that big. Represented 22% of home buyers. Boomers born between 46 64 represent 17. And older boomers 12%. And the silent generation. Let's just put this chart up here.
So I've never heard of the silent generation.
It's just really old people.
It's 1940, except it's
They can't talk anymore.
1928 to 1945.
Yeah. Also, I have the stats written on this note card right here too. If you can't see that chart, because I was planning on running through those. But thank you, Byron, for covering.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah, you can run through them.
I mean, you just said it. So
if you want to do something. All right. So the older that 25% is the older Gen Y millennials, and then the 18% is the younger Gen Y millennials. So that would be like 43%. Gen X 22%, and then you've got boomers now. The older and the young boomers is at 29%. So the total boomer population of home buyers is actually bigger than the Gen X. I've said this for a long time. If I'm focused on any one of these generations as an agent who wants to dominate a market, and Tom, how do we dominate a market?
Take the most listings, you work with the most clients, you talk to the most people, and
you take
motivation matters. Motivation matters.
Yep, exactly. And you take the most listings. You'll get the most listings, despite the fact that the millennial generation of home buyers makes up 43%. You'll get the most listings by focusing in on the boomers. And the boomers make up 29% of home buyers. So it's not a small number of home buyers. If I'm trying to dominate my local market, be the go-to agent that has all the listings, the boomers is where I want to spend 80% of my time.
Piggybacking after that,
go ahead.
You know what? The number one form of marketing is for every generation besides Gen Z. Anyone?
Email?
That's right, Brooks. Email.
I need one of those meat and potato shirts for that win right there.
Yeah, exactly. We could do it.
You can be the meat. I'll be the potato. Perfect.
How are you guys growing your email list? I'm curious. Byron and I talked about it on a previous walkthrough where we're doing ebooks and providing value with like PDFs and Instagram tips and stuff like that. So I'm wondering, how do agents, you guys specifically, grow your email lists?
Yeah. So I've always, so I used to work at this bank in San Diego before I got into the mortgage space, the real estate space. And when we're originating home loans, there was more emphasis on getting the email address on taking the application than there was sometimes on pulling the social security number to pull the application. It was all data. It would be more of a complete application. So I kind of took that and I've built my email. I've got roughly a little over 13,000 emails from since I've been into the space into right now, open house leads, Zillow leads, anything that I've ever bought. And we keep them in BombBomb so that I can just hammer them either bi-weekly or monthly with updates. So I'm pretty heavy on that. I like to see that when I was kind of going through the article. I'm like, all right, I don't agree with the Gen X, but I do agree with the fact that I'm pretty heavy on the email grab. But that's it. It's just that I think that's how you stay top of mind through a digital farm and kind of bring it into what you've grabbed from a physical farm. That's kind of how I've generated my business. So.
Brooks, the Brookings Institution defines the millennial generation as people born between 81 and 96, which would be a bigger, as does Gallup, as does the Federal Reserve Board. So I don't know where HubSpot's getting these numbers, but
you're growing your list organically through open houses, through your Zillow leads, and through your database. Like, are there any tricks that you're doing, Tom? Anything to just get a bunch of emails at once?
I'd love to tell you we have better tricks, but we're doing the same thing Brooks is, where it's anyone that comes into our database, and we've got like 48,000 people in there now. They get a weekly email from us. We put out a video show. It's very content rich. We don't ask for the order, but then there's buttons and stuff you can hit. But also when I think he brought up a good point. Like when I talked to somebody on the phone, when I was in production, I made a lot of outbound calls, and I would say, hey, give me your email address so I can send you all my contact info. And then I'd really push for that because you can get, like, you can't text the video newsletter, right? Like, so, and a lot of people want to default to that. And I want to hit them from all angles, and email is just a lot less invasive. So I would push to get the email when we're talking to someone where we don't have it, for sure.
Can we have both of your email lists to dump them into the BAM email list?
Yeah. Spam on them. Yeah.
Fantastic. That's 50,000 emails right there.
I don't think you want 50,000 Zillow Premier Agent.
Yeah, not just clients in that meat and potato market either.
Right.
meat and potato home shoppers.
Yeah.
5 times. We're going for a record of 10 meat and potato references here.
Exactly.
On the walk there.
How about you?
So,
I mean, what's been the go-to with the both of you, Eric, Byron, on the growth of email?
Well, we're getting agent emails, so it's different than getting clients, and walk-ins and stuff like that. We're not making really outbound calls, but we're getting them from our actual website. We have pop-ups, we have email captures at the end of each article that entice people to join, and then we also are doing ebooks basically on a bi-weekly basis. And anytime we do those ebooks, we'll get 1,000, 2,000 emails because we're providing them a 20, 25 page, like really high quality, valuable book with Instagram tips, Instagram strategy. We're doing one here with Virtue Desk about like how to hire a virtual assistant. So that's
we got one with KCM coming up too.
Yeah, we got one with Keep It Current Matters. So the ebooks for us has been the easiest way to get mass emails at once, but we're collecting them daily just from people visiting our website. And also we have a link down below in the YouTube description. If you want to join our email list, we send out an email daily. It's unbelievably high quality. Right, Tom?
It's phenomenal. Best in the business.
Yeah, and those ebook downloads, I mean, in a local market, we've said this before, I'd be thinking about that. Maybe a study on the, top 9, restaurants in the community, or just a market study that goes super local, in whatever market you're serving, that you can serve up, once, every 6 months to people and get them to download it, run a Facebook ad against it. By the way, Facebook, Eric, little side note, saw last night, didn't watch it yet, but saw a Gary V 4Ds where he talks about Facebook organic coming back.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on that? You know anything about that?
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that on Katie Day's story. Everyone's talking about this, like business pages and fan pages and groups on Facebook are coming back with organic reach, apparently. And I've actually noticed a massive uptick on the Broke Agent page. I think there's 140,000 follows on that page, but we're getting hundreds, 200, 300 shares, thousands of likes on just like the memes that I'm posting on the Broke Agent. The articles are popping off more, the YouTube links, which is usually tough to promote on Facebook because it's not an organic Facebook video, all crushing right now. So that's fantastic for us.
Facebook is back, baby.
Yeah. And then one more thing from the HubSpot report, Byron.
Yeah.
Every generation's, they're like #1 channel for product research, YouTube. This is from Gen Z to the silent generation. I don't know about them actually, but everyone's using YouTube. So if you're an agent, you're not building your YouTube channel, you are missing out. Tom, are you building yours? Because you're putting out so much video content. You have to be.
So it's funny you mentioned that because I had a coaching call this week, and we put out 3-4 pieces of content a week, and what we haven't been doing is putting money behind some of the posts, and kind of got a talking to from my coach where he said basically like, what the F are you doing? It's time to start boosting
Tom Ferry.
Tom Ferry, yes. And so I have a meeting in a half hour right after this where we're going to look at, apparently we have a radio show that comes out every week, and Eric, you've been on there, so is Byron. Yeah. And he told us get like 6 to 12 minute clips from there because apparently those do really well and they perform really well. Put a couple $100 behind them and get the best piece of consumer information you can from the show and clip it out that way with the legitimacy of being on the radio. And that should really help us. We're also doing a separate channel called Living in Philadelphia that's all local content. So like the best 5 neighborhoods to live in, the best restaurants to go to. And it's not really real estate related at all. And I know there's a couple people that have done that and done really well. So yes, we are building out YouTube aggressively.
Radio is actually a great way to build. I've talked about it in the past. That's a great way to build a local email list as well. If you're on a radio show, do giveaways, do call outs for, the people to win. They got to sign up for X email, whatever. So, all right. I'm glad I got through this one. My shirt, I think, is soaking wet right now.
You're hurting?
I'm hurting, man. I'm hurting. I've had a fever all week. Maybe it's just FOMO for, missing out on Las Vegas with Eric right now.
I mean, I've been sitting in my room the entire time. There's no one here that I know besides Lee and Eddie. I had a horrible night at the tables last night. I'm about to finally head to the conference today.
I think Byron has monkeypox is the word on the street. That's true.
Ooh.
I'm the first agent with monkeypox. Case 0.
Dam breaking right there.
That is dam breaking.
By the way, throw a like if you like this background. Throw a like.
Oh yeah, I didn't notice what that
Beautiful
was.
woman
Wow.
behind me here at the Cosmopolitan Hotel. I think this is a fantastic background. So
She's having a accident.
thumbs up.
Accident.
We should have had you sit off camera this whole time, Eric.
I mean, I may as well, but I said nothing for the first 25
He did lay down for a good portion when you were talking, Byron.
Yeah, exactly.
I picked up on it. I don't think anybody else did.
And that would have been a better place to sit. Eric, initial vibes from ICLV.
I haven't been to the conference. You haven't let me go to the conference because of this psychotic filming time. Or I guess, Tom, this is your problem.
This was Tom's choice, yeah.
So it's the meat.
It was the available time is what it was.
Missing out on everything. It's horrible.
Eric, go down there and text me if in the first 30 minutes anybody recognizes you or if you're a nobody.
First 30 minutes. Are you kidding me? The second I step out of this hotel room, I'll get swarmed. It'll be like the Beatles, especially where
by bees.
You're signing foreheads. You're broke agent signing foreheads.
I'm signing lock boxes today. The Cosmo lobby.
Right.
All right. Throw this a like and please consider subscribing if you haven't done so already on the YouTube channel. Brooks, really appreciate you coming on. Can't wait to do some more of these with you, Tom. Appreciate you as well. Try the KCM for free. We've hooked you up at BAM, so it's trykcm.com/BAM. All the marketing and co-branded information data that you need for your database right now. We'll see you guys next week on the walkthrough.
Music.